everybody, my name's Carrie. Thank you so much for joining me on my little channel here where I get to talk about all the crafty things that I get into. Today is March 12th, 2022. It's a Saturday and I'm home alone, so I thought I would pop in and make a little recording. I have a few things that I want to share. It's not going to be real lengthy, but I'm excited about some new projects and I thought I would share them with you. So hopefully everybody is doing well. It's been hard for me to get in a mental space to think about doing this just because of all the yuck that's happening in the world, but hopefully I can be a little bit of a bright spot in your day, and I appreciate you joining me. First off, I want to talk about what I'm wearing. I made a quilted jacket. And this is like a prototype. I wanted to try it out to see how things went together and whether it would work or not. So I ice dyed some fabric and I made a jacket. It's not perfect. I still need to fix some things, and I'm hoping that if there's somebody that watches that is a garment maker, you can maybe direct me on how to fix some stuff. So the jacket I'm wearing is the tamarack jacket, and I kept seeing this pop up on Instagram when people were at QuiltCon. So QuiltCon is a modern quilting show and festival, or, gathering, whatever, classes and vendors and all that kind of stuff. And there was a lot of people showing that. They were cutting up quilts and making them. And so basically what you have is you have a quilt. You quilt the fabric, whether it's a pre-made quilt or you quilt fabric, and make a jacket out of it. So I thought, well, that was really cute, and I think I kind of want to make that. So I had ordered some fabric. I was talking with Chip, and we were trying to figure out a way to make it like really cool, and I ordered some fabric, and I thought, well, meanwhile, while I'm waiting for the fabric, I just really want to try some ice dyed fabric and see if I can make a jacket. Now, it is crazy, but I love it, and I think if I can get it fixed in the areas that aren't working quite right, I think I'll wear it, and it's just like wearing a piece of art. So let me stand up. So as you can see, it is a quilted jacket. It's got a split high-low kind of hem, and that's where I'm having problems, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I haven't put any kind of closures because I wasn't sure. I was trying sizing. I do feel like this fits me well, and I'll just do something that is like a loop over a button type of a thing. What I did that was different is they want you in the directions. Let me get my chair. They want in the directions that you cut out your pieces, like for your sleeve, your front, whatever, and then quilt that. So take your top fabric, batting, bottom fabric, and quilt that together. And then when you're putting it all together, because it's already quilted and you've got raw edges, you use binding and bind every seam around the cuff, all around the front, the bottom, inside on the armholes and everything. And I didn't really care for that look. So I thought, what if I quilted just the top fabric and then insert a lining fabric? So as you can see, the lining fabric's not quilted. This is quilted. So I'm going to take this off while I'm up. So what I did was I dyed the fabric, and then I quilted the yardage of fabric. I did it on my long arm, and I loaded the batting, I pinned the batting on as if it were the backing fabric. So there wasn't any backing fabric. I pinned the batting on, put the top fabric on, did the quilting. So now I have top fabric and batting and it's just batting on one side. So that worked great. I've done that before for other projects. And then I made the lining, so cut that out of the lining fabric. And then I was trying to figure out how to, because I thought, well, if I sew it around and then like pull it inside out kind of thing, all the seams will be on the inside. But how do you do that with the sleeves? And I did find a video, and I'll link the video down below. I can't remember can't remember who it is, but it was like exactly what I was looking for. And I think I just looked on YouTube, like adding a lining to a jacket or something like that. It was tricky. It's kind of like you feel like you're in a knot and then it all somehow comes around, but I have a nice finished edge. And I still need to top stitch, but I'm not ready to do that yet because I need to fix some things. So because you've got this split hem, I don't feel like that's right. Obviously, it's like that's not right. And I've taken it out and tried to fix it, but something's not right. So what I'm doing is I'm laying like the lining and the top part together and sewing. You sew a 1/2 inch seam and sewing it, you know, all the way around. And I get to that seam, go up, pivot, and come back down. But I think something else has to happen there if I'm to keep this split hem. Maybe it just doesn't work what I'm doing. Normally, like with the pattern, you wouldn't be adding the lining like that. You would just be sewing a binding across here. So I'm thinking like maybe what works better in a situation like this is to not have a split hem and redraw the pattern so that it just goes straight across. And so I could do that next time. Meanwhile, I have this that I have to figure that out. And so what you do, so I left an opening on the lining to pull everything through. So you can see how I quilted with just the batting and then added this. I hope that all makes sense. So if anybody has an idea of how to make this intersection look better, then I'm golden. It's like, it's good to go. I think it's a cute jacket. I think it's unique and it's cute and fun, and why the hell not, right? But I have to fix that. It's not really wearable the way it is. So otherwise, I like the way it looks, like without binding and stuff. I'm really trying to avoid having to do the binding. So I may just not have that, like I said, redraw the bottom of the pattern to not have a split hem, and maybe that would work. Obviously that would work. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun fabric. I love it. It's very watercolor like. And then my fabric that I ordered for it did come, and what I got was this is QT Fabrics. It's a Dan Morris design, and it is a gradient. So one end is that color, and then the other end gets into a darker blue. Where is that? Got it folded. Okay. So it goes from like this lighter cobalt blue, and then at the bottom it changes in it. So it fades into this darker color. So I think that'll look really cool and have that fade so that the bottom is the darker color, and I think it would look really cool. And the design on this fabric is just super cool. So that's a pretty color. And then I got same line, but I got a pink. So this is the darker end of it. Where is it? Here we go. There's the lighter end, and it goes to this darker end. So it's like a pinky purple. And that'll be the lining, the inside. Or maybe it'll be the outside. No, it'll be the inside. I don't know. My plan was this is the outside and this is the inside, but now I'm not sure. So I wanted to make the mock-up so that I could test out the stuff. Oh, and on the jacket, it had welt pockets, and I followed the directions, and I don't think it quite came out. Like, you're not supposed to see the edge there. But I did this like bright green fabric. I love having the pockets. I'm just not sure that this technique worked for me. I've also never done this before, so maybe it was user error, which is highly possible. But it's not horrible. You know, it's not horrible, but like that one I think is a little better, but you still have this like little bit that's peeking out. So I might do something different with pockets. Not sure. Not quite sure. Let's just put this on the chair. So that took me, that was like a week-long project between dyeing the fabric, which ice dyeing, I love to do ice dyeing. It's fun because it makes it like watercolor. You never know what you're going to get. I dyed also another whole piece of fabric that I was going to use as a lining, but they didn't end up going very well together, and it had a pretty big section that it doesn't have much dye on it. And so trying to strategically place that so it's not like, you know, right on your boob or something like that, it was like, okay, that's not really working. And I had this yellow fabric, and I thought, let's just make that the lining because this jacket may never be worn. I don't know. But a lot of fun, and I'm gonna keep trying to figure it out. And what I did is the pattern is like that tissue paper kind of pattern paper that you get. And I trace it on Swedish tracing paper, which is like a cloth type paper. I've talked about it before. You can see through it. I trace on it. This becomes my pattern piece because the pattern has multiple sizes and I don't want to cut it. And then this kind of actually, when you stick it on your fabric, it kind of grips it a little bit. And you pin through it, you can sew through it, you can do whatever. So this stuff's great. I get it on Amazon on the roll, and I use it for lots of different things. So that's that. It's like so weird. It was super sunny all morning, and then all of a sudden, like super fast, all these clouds just rolled in, and it's getting cold, and I have the windows open. So I'm going to close the window. We're supposed to get rain, so I think it's coming. I did finish my Peace and Love quilt. I was kind of in the process. I was in the process of basically just laying it out, and it's all finished, ready to be quilted. So let me show you that. I don't have it on the design wall because I don't want my thumbnail to have this in the picture because it's for a gift, and I don't want the recipient to see it. Not that she'll know that it's for her, but this is going to be a wedding gift for a friend of mine's daughter. I can't hold it up enough though, can I? So it is a big heart. If you look on last episode, not last week, but the last episode, I had this quilt up on the design wall, and I'm doing a really crappy job of showing you because I can't hold it up and see what's going on the camera. Anyway, it's done. The top is done. And so I've got some backing fabric on order. So when that comes, I will quilt it. And in the quilting, okay, so for the quilting, I think I'm just going to do some straight lines, maybe a little bit of a wavy line, keeping it very simple. But I wanted to put the couple's initials. I thought about putting the date, but I'm going to hold off on doing that just in case for some strange reason something gets changed and maybe they don't get married on that date. Wanted to leave that open, but I wanted to put their initials on it. And because it's a heart, I thought I'd do it in a heart. So hopefully you can see this. I cut out, so their initials are C and J. And I recently got a Cricut cutting machine. And so I'm having fun learning that and figuring out how to use it and what can you do with it. And so what I did is cut this out of freezer paper. So freezer paper is something you can get at the grocery store, at least here in the States. And it's kind of, you can't really see so much now because I have ironed this, but it's kind of shiny on one side. It's got like a wax backing, and it's meant to wrap meats and stuff that aren't gonna, it's not gonna leak through. So it's got a wax backing. And if you press it onto fabric, it sticks, and then it just peels off, and it doesn't leave any residue or anything like that. So I cut a piece of freezer paper, put it on my Cricut mat, got a design. I just did the design, and so now this is on freezer paper. And then I can iron this to the quilt, and then when I go to quilt it, I'm just going to stitch right alongside the edge of the paper. I'll make the heart, and I'll make the initials, and then I peel this off, and the stitching is there. I wanted it to kind of look like, you know, how you would put your initials on a tree or something. So I think I'm gonna do it on one of the gray squares because it's got like white and gray stripes. I think I'll do it on the gray square, and that's also how I'm going to do When I talked earlier about, that's my temperature quilt that's in the process. I'm not going to show you because it's growing very slowly because it's only 2-inch squares. But when it's done, I want to quilt the months on the 2 rows that equal the month. And I'm going to do it the same way. So really handy that I got a Cricut machine, because I would normally print this out, cut it out all by hand, and then this turns out so much more perfect. So I will do a similar technique when I'm done with that and ready to quilt it, and I want to quilt the months that way. And I just pick a font that's kind of a block letter because that shows up really well with quilting. And so that's what I'll do with that too. So that's pretty exciting. That quilt is the Peace and Love quilt by Cloth Parcel, the Cloth Parcel. I'll put the link to that and anything else down below as usual. And so that's been my sewing. I am getting ready. I just have the background fabric to press on my next quilt that I want to make. And then I'll start cutting that out and getting going on that. But the jacket has really taken a lot of time just trying to figure out and do all that. Dye it, quilt it, cut it, sew it, trying to figure it out. So, like I said, if anybody has any tips or a video or something that shows maybe how to fix that thing, I'd appreciate it. Okay, I am attempting to do mosaic crochet. It's something that I've been wanting to learn how to do. I have a friend who does a lot, and she's been doing some beautiful blankets. I have a couple friends actually, and I want to learn it. I want to do it. So there is a designer. Her name is Tina, I think she says it Tina, and I can't pronounce her last name. I'll put it here. And she's in Iceland, and she designs really beautiful mosaic crochet patterns. And it was her birthday, and she had a 40% off of patterns, so I bought a couple patterns. So I was really taken by the terrazzo Afghan, and part of it was the colors and part of it was just the designs, just cool. And I like the fact that it was in squares, so I wouldn't end up with like a blanket all over my lap as I'm making it. I can sit and make a square, and I don't know how big the squares are, but I don't know, 10, 12 inches. I can have that in my hand and work through that. And so I was really good, and I'm doing just a practice piece before I buy a crap ton of yarn. I'm going to do it out of an acrylic because it's a blanket and I want to be able to wash it and not worry about it. So I had some leftover acrylic yarn from previous stuff I'm working on, and that's my first attempt. So not perfect, but pretty good, pretty okay for my first attempt. I think it's pretty okay. Where is it? See, maybe it's not as obvious, like here. I think it's here. Yeah. Like that's where the beginning of the round was, and something kind of funky happened. So I need to try it again, but it was actually pretty easy, and it was actually kind of fun to do. So I'm going to try it again with this yarn to just start over, because I think that beginning part, the first 3 rows where you're not quite doing the design yet, you're just building the center, is kind of tricky, and so I have to practice it. But I think it looks kind of neat, and it was, like I said, it was kind of fun to do. So this isn't as big as the block would be. You just sort of keep repeating, and I thought, let me stop there, start over again, and make sure I understand that. She's got wonderful videos on YouTube with step-by-step instructions, but she goes kind of fast for somebody that doesn't have a clue what they're doing. And I put it on slow speed, and then it was too slow because she talks really slow. I just need her hands to move slower. But I watched it a few times, I slowed it down, and then looked at the directions, and I think I was getting it. And I do think I was understanding the gist of it. I just think it needs a little bit of work. I still need to practice. So I'm hoping that I can really figure this out, because I think would make a beautiful blanket, and I think it would be a lot of fun to work on. And so this is a worsted weight, and I did it on a 5.5 I may go up to a 6. I don't know. So you can see how like it's not very, I don't know if that's because it's acrylic or just because I don't have good tension because I don't know what I'm doing. And that's the back side. It's just striped. There's no floats or anything. So you can see that was my beginning round. So something funky was happening there. But it's kind of cool that the back is just looks like it's single crochets and it's just striped. So pretty fun. We'll see what happens with that. But that is something that I'm gonna learn. I've done very little on my gray and pink striped sweater because I got new yarn and I had to start a new sweater. I've only got like, I'm at the cuff on the second sleeve. Finish the cuff, do the neckband, that sweater's done. I will have it for you next time. But meanwhile, and I think I mentioned this, pretty sure I mentioned it, I ordered some yarn from Holst Garn, and I got their Super Soft, which is 100% some type of wool. I don't remember what it is. It's not super wash. It is more that toothier, rustic kind of yarn, and I got a cone of it. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, this is fun. This is really fun. So I got my yarn, and this is my sweater color, which I think is turning out a little bit darker or orangier than, it's more of a coppery orange. But I started the sweater. It's got color work, and my color work colors are this dark purple, which is aubergine, and this teal color, which is space. And then the orange color is umber. So that's it. I got through the whole color work section of the sweater, and before you split for the sleeves, you're doing rounds of short rows to give extra room in the bust, which I think is brilliant for those of us with ample bustage. So here's my sweater. This will be a steeked sweater. Let's see. And there's my color work. And the color work was super easy, very memorizable. Nothing super fancy. And then you have, every once in a while, you have just straight lines of knitting, and wherever there was that straight line of knitting, I used that blue color. So this is where the steek will go. So you're building that in, and it's nice. When I did do a swatch, and it's like, okay, this is real scratchy compared to the superwash merino that I'm used to using. Like, pretty much that's all I use. So I thought, ooh, this feels a little scratchy, but I'm going to try it. I don't think it's horrible, but it might bug me after a while. But then when I washed my little swatch, it softened up considerably. And I didn't do like a long soak or anything like that. I just kind of soaked it enough to do a swatch. And it turned out really nice. So it will be a very lightweight sweater because it's fingering weight. And I think it's going to be really nice. It's been a real pleasure to work on. And I could have wound off some of this, but this fits in I have a good sized project bag that I stick it in, and this is my ball of yarn because I'm loving the fact that I'm not having to change skeins and work all that. It does spit splice really nicely because it is that rustic wool. I did cut my yarn for my color work. I didn't carry it up, and I just need to weave in some ends there. But so the inside, there's not real long floats because the color work is just really nice. So hopefully this all works out and this actually fits. But so far so good. So I'm pretty close. I think I only have a couple more rounds, and then I'll probably split for the sleeves. And then I'm going to put that on hold and do the sleeves so that I don't end up on Sleeve Island and just dread working on it, because it's not that I'm dreading working on the gray one. It's just kind of like, it's kind of boring. And I don't know why. Why is knitting in this circumference more boring than knitting in this circumference? I don't know. But anyway, I'm loving this. I love the colors. I think it's going to be fun. And I'm excited to have that to wear. I did do one purchase. Aside from the Holst garn, I just recently got this adorable bag. This bag is the Erin bag, and it's from the Scrappy Angel. And Angel had this in her shop. And it is a framed, it's got a frame here and opens up real big. She's got some pockets in here. There, the zipper pull is a little angel. It's a purple angel. This is perfect. So this is an awesome bag. Like, oh, look at that. That even fits in there. I might have to switch bags. So I haven't used it. It won't close because it's too fat. I haven't used it yet because I wanted to show it before I used it. It's got this like pleather bottom, and isn't that cute with the little foxes? So I'm very happy with it. It's a very well made bag, and I'm just happy I scored one. So she is the Scrappy Angel. I will put her info down below. So not a very long episode because I don't have like a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to check in. Look what else I did with my Cricut. I made myself a sticker for my water bottle. It's been pretty fun to learn it. I'm learning, but it's fun. So anyway, okay, that's it. That's all I have. I hope you're well. I hope that you find a way to find some peace and find things that make you happy and help where you can. So until next time, I will see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.